So where are you located, Becky?
I'm in Cambridge, Minnesota, which is 45 minutes away from Onamia, where Lea came. I went through Onamia many times, as I visit there many times. Did not meet her 41 years ago. It took refugee film school for us to meet.
So we have a story to tell, Becky.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
All right, so I think we are in good shape. I am sharing it into my friends, and feel free to share to your wall, Becky. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Like I said, every day is just fun to tossing around between the pages, the groups, and the Zoom and the Facebook. But we are here.
Oh.
She's not.
Oh. Okay, we have to talk.
Yes.
Lea got booed out, so she will be back. Yeah, we have this issue yesterday also.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, she got booed out. But anyway, our conversation this month is about kindness and compassion. And we are so excited to have you join us in our conversation. Hey, Lea,
It kicked me out just like it did yesterday. I don't know what's going on, but I think Zoom, I just upgraded to the next software, and something is wacky is going on. But I'm glad I'm back and it didn't kick me out again. So I'm not going to share anything because I was trying to share into my Facebook page and something it didn't like. But anyhow, here we are. Here we are. Welcome, welcome. Becky is one of the friends that I just known her since October 2020, and we become like sister because we have same mission in goal and goal in life. And it was such an honor to be able to meet her in person 10 days ago, 11 days, 17 days ago, I don't know, whatever. But it was like 2-3 weeks ago. So we're gonna talk about that story a little bit later because we have such a same common goal, and it's all about kindness and compassion. And I want to start the program since I am late. I apologize for that. So I'm gonna toss it to Sarah. Sarah's gonna do a quick introduction, and then I'm gonna do a quick introduction, and then we're gonna get that right into who Becky is and why Becky is here to share her story with us.
awesome, wonderful. Yes, let's get started. I'm just going to introduce myself really quickly. You probably already heard 200 times, but I'm Sarah M. I grew up in Cambodia, and I lived through the hardship in the pandemic in Cambodia. It's called the genocide, but I survived, and I was able to escape and get out from the country. And I'm grateful that I now live in this beautiful country, and just so grateful for all the people that supported us and accepted us and helped us to start a new life. So the kindness and the compassion that I receive is just unforgettable. So this month we are just so honored to talk about that. And I published my book. It's called How I Survived the Killing Fields. And I'm now also going out in the community to speak and share my message. So you can reach out to me on my website, sarahm.com. Back to you, Lea.
All right, thank you, Sarah. So I am pretty much in the same boat. I I was here 41 years ago, also as a refugee status, so known as boat people. So you can actually, I'm going to skip all the intro because you can find me on leatran.com. You can listen to my TEDx talk, read my memoir if you are curious about who I am. But like Sarah said, I have tell myself about over 200 times. So, so the story today is, the spotlight today is on Becky LaBeau. So who's Becky LaBeau? Becky is a loving, caring teacher who I admire a lot. I think teachers are the greatest, but not all teachers. I think teachers, they all have a different type of durations and patience with all different age group that they're dealing with. And Becky have, I think, you know, I'm going to have her talk about a little bit about herself, but she's a Minnesotan. She is from Minnesota, and I connect with people from Minnesota like right away, because first time I came to America, our family landed in Minnesota. And I want to say that a lot of Minnesotan people have big heart, warm heart, despite the cold land. So Becky is somebody I knew the past 8 months, 10 months, like I said. And I've learned to respect her and adore her and really think that she has done a lot of great things for mankind, not just on her own community, but also for people across the globe that she cares for. So Becky, why don't you introduce yourself to us and to our audience, who you are and why did you go in as a teacher? And, you know, tell me a little bit about your passion and what you have been doing for the last 20 years, whatever.
I'm Becky. I actually am truly a Minnesotan. Lee. I am on my mother's family. There, I am the 5th generation of people who have lived in Minnesota. I am fortunate enough that I live in the same community that my great-grandmother was born into. I graduated from high school here. My mother graduated here, but I also was fortunate enough to be placed in, and although they weren't perfect, to be placed in a family that taught me about love and compassion. My father was the middle of 8, and my mother was the oldest of 14. My grandmother raised those 14 mostly by herself. One of the things that she taught us, and it is one thing that I use as my little mark that I carry before me, is she taught us to do what it says in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 5. She taught me to love the Lord my God with my whole heart, my strength, my mind, and my soul. But then to go into the New Testament and love my neighbor as myself. So that is all that I try to do, is just to show people that they are loved, that they're special. If you put love in, you get beautiful results. I did not want to be a teacher. I wanted to be a psychologist, and I have a master's degree in psychology. But at 16, I met my mentor, dear sweet Norma Larson, who stopped me in after church one Sunday and said, "You need to come with me. You need to teach, because I think that children need to learn what you have to say." And so our life went on together for years. She started a preschool and gave me my first job. She paid for my first schooling to become a teacher. She saw that I should be a teacher. I saw that I should be a counselor. And through it all, I have become, Love, Laugh, Learn is the daycare that I currently am a provider for. I have taught numerous daycares. I've been a substitute in the school. And at one point, I was going to quit. And a former student, his name is Brian, his wife actually did my hair. And I said to her, "I got to get out of teaching. This is just not, I don't belong there." And she went home and told her husband. And 2 days later, I saw him at the grocery store. And you know, you in a small town, I honestly told my mom I could get in trouble in school and she would know about it before the teachers even did, because someone would tell her. But I met her husband in the grocery store, and he said, he decided to pack my groceries. And he said, Becky, he said, Mandy told me that you're planning on quitting school, on quitting teaching. And I said, yep, I think that there's a different avenue to open. And what he said made me realize why I was doing what I was doing, but it also changed my life, because he said, I have always hoped that my children would have a teacher like you. You cannot quit, because there are too many kids in this world that need to know what it is to have a teacher like Miss Becky, who loves them no matter what they do. It doesn't matter if you throw your blocks. It doesn't matter what you do. She loves you just because you're you. And that's why I do what I do.
That is the ultimate testament of all teacher or all any mankind want to hear. That is the highest tribute that anybody can give. And I think he is so right, because I mean, what are the school age of your students?
I have, when I'm at daycare, they are from the ages of 6 weeks to 11 years old.
I think
And
those are the prime age where they set their foundation of love, of touch, of care, of feeling. You have really installed a lot of love out there as a foundation, because they can always go back to that primary care, and they never forget. So I am glad you stay as a teacher. I am glad that, I mean, you've got this beautiful personality, you get a soothing voice, and you talk their language. You don't talk like an authority adult. So I am so glad.
And it's proven. I mean, my master's degree is in psychology, and my thesis was on reactive attachment disorder. And I spent 2 years studying just that subject. And what really matters is people need to feel love. If you take an infant and you put them in the corner of a nursery, and you pay no attention to them, they do not thrive. I just read last night a story about a family who, the little boy was waiting for his parents to have this baby sister. And she was born, and there were some health issues. And so she was moved to a hospital a few hours away from them. Mom went with, and the brother never got a chance to see her. And I'm sorry, the family was told that she would not survive. And the mother said, I need to bring her brother here, because her brother needs to see his sister before she's no longer with us. And the little boy made the journey. He came into the room where his sister was, and he stood by the incubator, and he very quietly sang, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." And her counts started to improve. And that little girl is a thriving, active 2-year-old, because their thoughts were to isolate her and she wouldn't survive. And what she needed to hear was the love of her big brother. I mean, it's a miracle, but I believe miracles happen every day.
I think it is very true. Studies have shown that, and I have seen it in my own eyes too. I mean, I have friends who have kids that born with a really rare condition, and the doctors say that, you know, she's not going to make it through 5 weeks, not even, let alone 5 years. And this is like, I don't know, 20 years ago. And my friends just say that, just take all the incubator, take all the tube out. I want to bring her home and just give her love, nothing but love. And she cradled her girls, and she just talked to her, and the girl had passed through, now become a teenager. So it is very crucial, I believe, that, and it's nothing better than a teacher who has been through a psychology major and have gone through all this human connections and understand what is the love language. Touch and feeling is really important to our human behavior.
And
So,
forgiveness.
yes.
Forgiveness and accepting them. You know, I had a student that every time he walked in the room, my aide would say, "Oh my God, he's here again. Why doesn't his mother ever keep him home? He never gets sick." And I looked at him completely different, because I saw this little heart
Yeah.
that needed to be loved, and this little person that was just waiting to come out. And she said to me in the staff meeting, she said, "We're going to decide," they want to decide if we should keep him in daycare or if we should ask his family to remove him. And she said, "They want you to speak as to what you think." And I said, we cannot remove that child from that program. He does not need to see at age 3 or 4 that he's not doing what he's supposed to do. And the director of the daycare looked at me and she said, "Becky," she said, "you give that little boy chance after chance after chance. Somebody builds blocks, he goes over and kicks them over, you move him to a different area, he tips over their paint." She goes, "Why? Why do you give him chances?" And you know, Lea and Sarah, the one thing that is always in the back of my mind is, where would I be if I woke up one morning and God said, "Becky, remember how you kicked that thing over because you were mad about something? That was your last chance. There's no more chances." And so we have to give people chances to, especially children, to learn from their mistakes, to grow and to become the individual that they were created to be.
I think that those kids are the most needed to be in. And sometimes we don't see the whole picture, why those children behave the way they do. Gotta be a reason. Sometimes they need attention through the negative actions because they are so in desperately needed attention. So yeah, I've actually have somebody I work with that is delved into trauma of little kids, why kids behave the way they do. So I really appreciate, you give, I mean, it's not just the chance, but it's what is right. Because if every student are bad and get suspended or get tossed out, where are those kids gonna go? Where are those kids gonna go, right? So it's got to be another way. So thank you for, giving the kids more chance. So tell us, beside you are influencing young minds and cute toddlers and sing with them and tell the story to them to get them to carry this kindness going forward in their lives. What other love that you have been sprinkled and spread around the globe? Can you tell us about your mission? What you've been doing?
I have been working, as you know, as the mentor coordinator with the Refugee Film School. And I actually had been a donor to Together We Can Change the World. And I saw Jana's story about working with the kids in Kuala Lumpur. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to set aside some money and give to that. And then Jana asked if I wanted to meet one of the students and maybe just have her, hire her to do something for me. So I did. And then I said to Jana, I see that you're asking people to be mentors. And I'm wondering if I could sign up for a mentor, to be a mentor. She said, yes. She said, you could sign up to mentor the particular student you're working with. And she said, how would you like to set up the program for mentoring? And so that's how it started. I want them to be, my mentor was always in my corner. She was a cheerleader. She was there if I made mistakes to help me correct them. She walked up, she died recently, and I I was lost. I missed that. She, she was always in my corner. And that's what I hope for our students. And somehow I seem to be able to match them with, one of our students is an identical twin. Her mentor is an identical twin. Your
Oh.
mentor, how you are so matched with your students. One of our Zoom meetings where I just introduced a student to his mentor, the student came on with his baseball hat on backwards. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then his mentor came on with his baseball cap on backwards. So just how they, the things, one of the girls, she came on, and I don't know all these things when I put them together. I just pray that the right people ask to be mentors and that the right people are, meet with the students. Amy, your friend Amy, her mentee is a boy that was very lonesome and very lost. And she's like, I love boys. I love to mother. So those are the things that are important. One girl came on and she said, I just watched this science fiction movie. And her mentor goes, I haven't seen the movie, but I've read all those books. So just the way things work out. And then we talk about it at leadership training about the mentors. But I get to go on the Zoom meetings and I see when the student comes on, how the mentor's face lights up. My student, we have been mentors for almost 2 years now. And we meet often. I just got a text from her that said, I'm just going to bed now, Auntie. So I'll be thinking of you I'll watch your Facebook thing in the morning. And so just the closeness and the compassion, but that they also know that there is someone that believes in them. Someone, Mark from MRSI said, your mentors are giving the students a hope for a better life. And that's what my wish is, that they all know that they're worthy of love. There is hope for them. It doesn't matter what obstacles you have to overcome. There are people that love you. And I always say, if you put love in, you'll get love out.
Well, if I may explain
Yes.
to our audience a little bit about the history of who you're talking about, because I think, sometimes people may not understand totally. So Together for Good is an organization that help refugees in Malaysia. And Becky was part of that. And then Refugee Film School that she is director of mentoring program right now is the organization that help students, refugee students, to learn and earn through digital work. Like the backdrop that she's having in her Zoom right now is part of it. Banner for Facebook or video editing and all sort of things that the student can actually, if you want to hire the student to do some of the work for you as a virtual assistant, you can. Or if you want to mentor one of those students, because we have a group of students who are in need of help, of job, of mentorship. And Becky, I don't think that you just don't know how to match them. Just, you just kind of do it. But I think you do deep down inside know who needs what and who can provide what. Because I'm grateful for the mentee that you sent to me, because I love Nargis and, we click on really well. And I think that you do pay attention. I think the psychology background does really help, because you listen and you understand who can give certain type of compassion, or who can do, certain things that are well matched for each other. So on that token, I really want to say that, you do have a knack for that. You are gifted in that department, which you are so humble and not admitting it. But you have done a great job to help all those students. How many do we have all together now?
With 25. But it has gone beyond just the students, like our teacher, our former teacher, Mr. Sushio, he and his family have mentors. His son, Shemaiah, has a mentor. One of the sisters of our students has a mentor that works close with her. My desire is that anyone who's a part of film school has a mentor, just somebody to cheer
Yeah.
them on.
Yeah. And these are the people that she has done so much work for, and she has not even met them once. This is all through Zoom and technology and whatever that she can get a hold of, WhatsApp, or all kind of things of connecting with people. So I think, how did you develop those love at such an early age, before you even become a teacher, that your mentor were able to tell you that you should be a teacher? Because
I had a grandmother that, obviously I had 4 grandparents, but my mother's mother raised 14 children. 4 of them were her biological nieces, but she accepted them as her daughters. My grandfather was not in the picture, so she had these 14 children that she raised. Because there was a 20-year age difference. I have aunts and uncles who are, like, I have an uncle who's 15 months older than I am. I have an aunt that's 3 months older. And so we were taught about love. She did not have a lot of money. There were often times that I'm sure she wondered how she would feed them all, but she had love. And when you were with her, you honestly felt like you were the most important person in the world. And she and I, my whole adult life, she never lived any farther away from me than 3 miles. And we spent Fridays doing things together. We would go to breakfast on Friday. I was fortunate that the day that she passed away, I had spent the night with her and had come back the next day to be with her. And my aunt and I were there talking to her, and we gave her permission to leave. I didn't think that she had to do it within 10 minutes, but so that love, she showered us with love. And I have aunts and uncles that I can tell you stories of my one aunt and uncle. My dad's father our brother married my mom's sister. And nowadays people would say I was being spoiled, but they had no children.
Oh.
And so they took me at age 2 to a drive-in movie. And my aunt said, and they talk about this, that how I played on the swings and I loved being there. And we got into the car and the movie started, and it started to get dark. And I said, but I didn't want to come here. And I started to cry. Now, I would have said, well, you know what? We're going to watch the movie. They did not. They drove home, took me where I wanted to go. So I was showing love. I was showing love. Constant love. My mom's youngest sister, we were together yesterday, and she talked about how I had met you, and she's reading your book. And she's like, if people only knew that is what makes us all alike, is just the love we have for one another. And we were raised, our family was very devoted, both sides. We're very devout Christians. And so we learned at an early age to love one another as Christ loved us. And I've only had one spanking in my whole life. And
you remember that?
You know what? I remember it because it happened in Sunday school.
Oh.
And my grandma, everybody calls me Miss Becky. My grandma, everybody in Sunday school called her grandma. Well, when you're 2, that isn't their grandma. That's your grandma. And so this little girl just kept calling her grandma. And so I very nicely slapped her in the face, which then meant so I'm not always loving, but she did take me out, and I did
so
get
cute.
But
That's
it was
my grandmother.
because it was done because she wanted me to know that, first of all, you don't treat people that way. And even though she was my grandma, she had enough love to go around. And that's what I want people to know, is that even though I have nieces and nephews, that yes, I'm their auntie, but I still have enough love to be shared with others.
That is so cute. And I think that I think the love is all spawning from being able to understand the other person, the compassion, the how would she feel if I do this? I mean, the understanding. So I think, you know, to love, first we gotta be able to be compassionate about the person and put ourselves in that shoes. But I thought that was so cute. Yes, that's my grandma. You can't call my grandma.
And there are actually 5 books that I believe every family should have in their home, because they do teach about love. The first is a scriptures, whether it be, you know, I have a Bible, but whether it be whatever your faith is, to have the writings of your faith that you as a family can read together and share together and pray to your God about. That is something that builds unity within the family. It builds love, but it also gives you a place to go when things don't go well.
They say,
I also
you pray
think you should have
together, you stay
Yeah.
together, right?
I also think you should have a dictionary,
Mm.
because there are a lot of words that children come home with that are words that have misconceptions. And if we can look them up together, another one is a book by Robert Muntz that is called I'll Love You Forever. And it talks about how, as long as you know, I mean, it's very simple. It's a child's book, but in it, there's this little refrain that keeps being told: I'll love you forever. I'll love you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. And it talks about the love between parents and children that saturates into parents and grandchildren. And another, my grandma read to us constantly from the 5 Little Peppers and how we grew and how they grew. And it's a story about a mom who lived in the 1800s, who had 5 children and no way to make a living other than sewing, but how she taught those children to love one another and to care for one another. And they were a community. And no matter what went on in that day, as long as they came back to that little brown house and to one another, they were okay, and they knew that they were loved. Yeah. And probably the most important book is one that was just written 2 years ago. It's called Everyone Has a Point of View, and it's written by Ellen Joy. It talks about differences, how we are all different. What you think is warm, you might think 100 is cool. I might think it's way too hot. You in Florida may think 40 is the coldest thing in the world. You know where I live, Lee. That's in December, that's a heat wave.
I know when I came to Sharon's house, she has that whole entire sheet of like when the world at what degree, Minnesotan. I copied that. I meant to post that up. That is so funny. It is so true. Yeah, it's all about perspective and your background.
And to learn to accept each other's point of view. You know, I mean, simple questions like, it's a rainy day. What does that mean to a farmer? What does that mean to a painter? Are their point of views wrong? And I think if we would learn to accept each other's differences and love each other's differences and work with each other's differences, we might not be having all that's happening in the world.
Right. And that's compassion. That is the compassion feeling about learning, wanting to learn from each other, want to understand from each other. And that makes the world a little better place to live, because we are different. We all come from different climates, different background, different culture, different language, different way of speak, different way of thinking. So by open up the dialogue and say, you know, what does that mean in your culture? Because I have a lot of time, I was timid. I was not brave enough to ask. And I was afraid to speak because I'm afraid I say the wrong thing and I will offend people. So I don't ask, I don't talk. So I'm just zip my mouth and say in the corner, and then I hate myself for why didn't I ask? I mean, it's like open up dialogue is the biggest thing to understand each other. And even Vietnam and Cambodia sounds like, we're next door neighbor, right? We share the climates, we share the tropics, but we are a world of difference between me and Sarah too. There's a lot of things that I don't understand about her, and I'm sure she have a lot of things that she has no clue why I'm doing the way that I do. So yeah, I think, open dialogue, and that's why we are here, so we can have people share their story and their background. And 4 generations in a row in Minnesota. And are you from Norway? Is that your background? Is that
My mother's family is from Sweden.
Sweden?
My great grandmother came from Sweden, and my great grandfather came from Sweden. My father's parents, my grandmother was English, and she was raised in southern Minnesota. My father's parents, his family originally came to Canada, and I've researched his side of the family. They came to Canada in 1753 to fight in the French and Indian Wars, and then worked their way down through and ended up living in Minnesota. So I'm actually French and Swedish, and honestly, I do have relatives that say Swedes are very cold. French can be very cold. How do you fit in? And I don't know. I just
you are not French or
I am
Swedish.
me.
You are Becky, and a lot of Viking Norwegians people in. I mean, it's like when we landed there, it's like they are so big. Everybody is like, whoa, hi. But I love Minnesotan. But thank you so much. I know we're going a little over, and we are so appreciative that you're here sharing your perspective, sharing
Thank
what you do, and the love you spread to the world and to those little people. I just love those little people, and I love
Thanks.
the way.
Thank you for loving on my kid. You know what? Once I told you, once you got to meet one and got to know them personally, you would be filled with love, and you are, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I love little 3. And I think they're like they're at the age that they understand enough, and they're trying to testing all the time and trying to explore. That's the cutest age. I don't know if I can do 24/7 or 5 days a week.
You could. You could.
Maybe when I'm a grandma.
You could. When they come up to you and they've done something, that they know that you don't want them to do, and they say, Miss Becky, my little favorite 3-year-old, you've heard it, you hear often about him, and he looks at me and goes, Miss Becky, all the time I'm loving you. That changes. Your heart melts.
Yep, they really know how, and they're giving us so much to learn from, because toddler and that age, they're so brave and they're so honest, and they just, do it completely from the heart. They don't manipulate the thinking.
They don't see the differences.
No,
they don't. My last story is I have a brother and sister who he is a beautiful blonde-eyed Swede. She was from Seoul, Korea, and they were having a new baby, and the differences that they saw, she said to me, if our baby has blue eyes, it will look like David. If he has brown eyes, he will look like me. All she saw was they had different colored eyes, but their hearts were the same. And that's what we need to see, that underneath our hearts are the same. They just want to be loved.
Right. Absolutely. Beautiful story, beautiful conclusion. And thank you so much for, again, sharing your time with us. Any last question, Sarah, before we close up?
No, it's a beautiful story, beautiful journey. And, I love your story.
All right, everyone, here we are. And we are still going to be talking about compassion and love and kindness on Thursday. And we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you again, Becky.
Aye, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.